Glowforge allows adjustment of 3 variables for cutting, only 3. They include power, speed, and focus height. So if you're having trouble cutting and your machine is in good repair, then adjusting one or more of these variables will be the solution. Today on Kurt's Corner, I want to focus on focus height. What is the definition of focus height? It's the distance above the honeycomb tray where the laser focuses. Is focus height the same as material thickness? Well, yes and no. Usually, they will be the same. If you put a 1/4 inch thick board on the honeycomb tray, then you want the focus of the laser at the top of the board, which is a 1/4 inch. So for the most part, using thickness and focus height interchangeably is okay. There are times when you want to engrave where you purposely put the focus height that does not match the material thickness. This is called defocusing, and we can talk about that in another video. Or you may want to cut thicker material, in which case you may need to remove the honeycomb tray. This will require some calculations, but for this video we want to keep it simple. Let's stop now and talk about why in the world focus height is even an issue. So, you may think of a laser beam as a cylinder or a straight beam of light like you see on the sci-fi movie. The beam leaves the laser tube and goes through a series of mirrors until it is finally turned downward, pointing right at the material you are cutting. But this laser is not powerful enough to cut. The beam is too wide or scattered. Basically, the laser needs to narrow even more so that all of its power and might are pointing at the smallest possible spot. Optics are used to turn the beam into a cone. At one point, the cone will converge. This is the most concentrated area of the laser, and this will have the most cutting power. Some lasers, like the Aeon Mira, move the tray up and down to adjust for different material thicknesses. The Glowforge, however, has a fixed tray height and uses optics to adjust the beam focus. Glowforge has a toggle switch between autofocus and manual focus. I would suggest for all of our material, use the manual focus and put the actual material thickness given on our cut settings page. Does the focus height really make a difference? Yes, it absolutely does. Let me show you an example. Here is a 1/4 inch maple double-sided board for which I wanted to test some different cut speeds. I'm using this in another video about cut speeds. You can see the range of speeds where the material cut well. The caliper measurement of the thickness of this material was 0.24 inches. I manually put that thickness in as the focus height, and you can see how it cuts. You can see that it cuts between 115 and 120. This is the typical speed that this particular material should cut at. But here's another board. It's the same material, the same speed, the same power, but in this one I entered 0.024 inches as the focus height. This is very thin, and it mimics accidentally adding an extra 0. So the focus height was way off. You can see none of them even came close to cutting through. All the other variables were the same. The only change was the focus height. A second example is 1/4 inch mahogany double-sided wood. It cut really well at 125. But when the focus height was entered incorrectly, just like I did the last time, look at the results. You can see all the burning in the soot, and it didn't even cut through. This brings up a problem with warped boards though. If a 1/4 inch board is bowed in the middle so that the top of the board is actually a 1/2 inch away from the tray, then that's why it won't cut right. The focus height is not actually at the top of the board. It's at a 1/4 inch, but it turns out the board is at a 1/2 inch. We have recommendations for how to flatten boards if they're warped, and a free file for pins to help pin things down. So if you make a cut and it does not go through, and you are sure that the machine is clean and optimized for cutting in every other way, the first thing to check is focus height. That's it today for Kurt's Corner. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell for future notifications. We'll be back for more helpful hints on maximizing your Glowforge's potential.